where I'd like to start our conversation today is around the ability to create one's own comfort. And this part of the practice of not only meditation but also life is an essential ingredient at the beginning stages of becoming very conscious. So this conscious experience is expressed through realizing that meditation is beneficial for you and you wish to take it on. But this ability of being conscious also manifests in realizing that an aspect of life is needing attention, and that through your awareness, which is connected to becoming increasingly more conscious, you're actually able to enable that aspect of your life experience to flow that much more, or become increasingly more comfortable. And I'm choosing to start with the realization moment, that moment when we become conscious, because that's really the most important aspect of the experience of developing a meditation, but also the experience of creating an increasingly more balanced and flowing life. The challenge which sometimes comes up when one is becoming conscious and realizing is that now that you know, you actually know you know you know. And within that step, there is a section that could potentially frustrate somebody or weigh heavy on an individual, because we know, but yet we're not yet ready to do something with that information that we're conscious of. And that's where meditation actually begins to aid in our development quite strongly. We understand through direct experience that there are some things that we want to do and other things that we just do not want to do. And within this relationship between that which we wish to do and that which we wish not to do, there is always a strike of balance between those two experiences. And that which we are not wanting to do, and I think that we all have a huge amount of experience within this, is generally that which is the most important in terms of creating the steps which are going to enable you to grow. And this growth path is based upon you as the individual who is experiencing life for what it is. And that which is based upon all which we have accumulated as experiences leading up to this present moment. So now when we start to look at it from this depth, we start to see that there is a profound amount of intimacy which is occurring. Intimate to the point where we begin to tell ourselves through that one section that is maybe a little bit stiff or challenging, that we're not able to, or this is just how we are, or what it is. And in a large aspect, this is actually completely true. This is how we are. And this actually is what it is. And to become okay with that and rest into it is actually a developed tool that the practices which have been using meditation have employed for a very long time as a mechanism which is enabling an individual just to become grounded within the present moment of experience. and really recognize the relationship that one is having with themselves. So exactly like this. You're having it right now. And me speaking to you, as you hear my words, you're processing the information in a very specific way, an intelligent way. And that intelligence is matching all that we have already experienced and relating to it in order to paint the picture or tell the story or create a connection that you are actually comfortable with. But now when we start to look at that which we are experiencing and its ability to engage an intelligence, and that intelligence invoking a sensation, a rhythm which one is comfortable with, we have to take into consideration the closeness or intimacy, or that we have been nurturing for so very long. So now within that, we can start to recognize that quite often our efforts to understanding this intelligence, to developing this aspect that we've been speaking of, is actually grounded in an unknown factor, which is ignorant. And people don't really like this word very much, but it's the truth. If we don't know, then we literally don't know. So therefore we begin to infer and accept that which has already been done, or that which is easiest for us to connect to, and then leave the rest and say, okay, well, this is just how it is. So that which we are saying is comfort, in reality is actually not very comfortable at all. It's actually uncomfortable in all directions, and oftentimes we don't really like it. But it's easy for us. And this is manifesting on a continual basis from the experiencer sitting within a meditation. We see particular thoughts, we have ideas, there's emotion, and we are not fully able or ready to accept that which is occurring on such a level where we can sink down to the bottom of its expression. Like just these words sinking, down, and bottom generally is not words that one would want to choose if one would want to be uplifting in a conversation. Because we typically are avoiding this experience, and we are actually coming to a meditative practice to become uplifted. We're attempting to find increased joy and space. But the truth is that the quality that we want to find within ourselves exists in the resolving of that which is holding us in that specific vibration, in that specific mindset. And the only way that we are able to fully engage with it is to actually hear it all the way through to its end point. So when we start to invest within the experiences which are occurring that manifest from a quality of mind which has been nurtured to relate to there or to an environment which is led without guidance from that conscious piece, we are left with a mind which is reactive in nature, because this is the survival component of who we are. It is reactive for the sake of survival. But this survival mechanism, which is so incredibly important to us, manifests not only within the qualities of threat that are on the extreme level, but also the qualities of threat that are on the more subdued or benign levels as well. But the reactionary experience is one and the same. So the manifestation of this ability to realize and then become conscious is the secret ingredient to becoming comfortable with that which you have already produced by the mind. And the ability to rest within the experience of comfort is that quality of mind which has already been defined, able to express itself, fully let go, and the experiencer then able to drop down into an authentic, comfortable state of rest. So what I'm proposing to you is that the largest challenge that we see in terms of our personal meditative experiences or that of our life is founded within our ability to trust our own mind to the point of relying on the reactionary experience as being the absolute of truth. And within that reaction, we stay hovering just above the depths that meditation has to offer, but also in the depths that life then can nurture you properly. So when we grow roots deep so that then the roots can then gain the nutrients from the soil to then feed the rest of the plant or the flower. So this is our ability to become engaged within our environment, that's meaning the internal environment, in such a way that we recognize the reactive quality which has already been defined, which has already been developed, and we take on this reality of, now that I know, now I can do something with it. So what I'm suggesting is the first and the last step to doing something with it is gaining the ability to become comfortable with that which has already been done. Oftentimes we sit in meditation and the thought that we have is already a known thought. You already know the idea, you already know the concept, you already know the dialogue, but you're seeing it again. Is that true? Or am I on my own here? And we see it again, and we see it again, and we see it again. So within that, we are actually creating the loop. Not because we want to, but because we're ignorant to the fact that we're not able to correct it. And the ability of developing the correction is found within the profound practice of letting go and disengaging with that which has already been produced. That which has already been produced, now the individual is observing. It's already been done, it's already been said. But the power that exists within a very aware meditative experience is the awareness itself. So the awareness itself is that which is eroding or dissolving the patterned experience. Not because you're choosing to, in a sense of, I must concentrate right here, and every time something hits this concentration point, it's going to dissolve, but rather the pure expression of the intelligence of knowing that is evolving now from that which has already been done into that which is now going to be into a flow or stream of new mental energy within your state of experience. So this pure expression of awareness is coming from that well. So it has not yet been defined. We say awareness, well, what is awareness? And then you will list off a bunch of words, but I'm sure you will find a really hard time to really pinpoint exactly what it is, or pinpoint exactly what it feels like, or pinpoint exactly where it comes from. And that experience is actually the most profound one that we could possibly have, because now this is brand new energy flowing through us, undefined energy flowing through us, that is now equal amounts of intelligence that knows exactly what to do in their part, just like the already patterned experience knows exactly what to do on its part. And then as they begin to mix, and as they begin to develop together, one will start to overweigh the other. It's just natural like that. So that which you feel is most important, that which you feel is most nurturing, will then over time outweigh and dissolve that which you no longer want or need. So now here's the kicker, and I apologize if I offend you, but that which you are experiencing, you are actually choosing. It's by choice. So the challenge that we see in front of us is only a challenge because we choose it to be that. Those thoughts are there because we are allowing them to be there. So this disengagement of that which you are observing is on the technical side called pratyahara. So you're withdrawing the energetic strings, the mental strings that are plugged into the thought. You're pulling them away so that all you're seeing is the pure expression of that thought itself. And then at that moment in time, we have perspective. And within that perspective, we can say yes or no. But you may say, no, I don't need it anymore. But then the next second, it happens again. So at that time, we then create dialogue, and that dialogue says, didn't work, can't do it, got to go try a different meditation technique. Or, I didn't quite sit right. Or, I shouldn't have had that coffee. Or, I should sleep more. Or whatever it may be that's attached to it. But the reality is that it's none of that. It's actually the simple fact that we have so passively allowed it to happen, it's become interwoven as second nature and a part of who we are. For better or for worse, this is who you are when you close your eyes. So to undo that, to move beyond that, it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes your ability directed towards that which you wish to achieve. Now, along with that, we see our mental experience, and again, you can correct me if you feel I'm incorrect, as being superior to our conscious aware state, this knowledge of this is who I am and I am the decision maker within all of my experiences. If we put that intelligence up against the mind itself, we're constantly seeing the mind experience as being stronger than that which is making the decision. And what meditation does within its consistency is begin to show and teach the individual who is experiencing that that which you see, that which is mind, that which is thought, is in fact a servant to or a friend to the quality of mind which is doing the decision making. That conscious piece of who you are. But we have to recognize that it is a muscle, just like any other muscle within the body. If we look at the weight and we say, if I lift that weight every day, I'm going to grow muscle, the muscle that I want. But we don't ever pick the weight up. Have you ever done that? Or say, I'm going to work out, or I'm going to do a regular yoga practice because I want my body to feel better. And you know exactly what to do, but we're not doing it. The exact same workout regime exists on the inside with a slightly different coloring and a slightly different approach, but the mind itself works like a muscle with the help of the brain. So that which we are flexing and that which we are developing and that which we are growing is actually doing that. Flexing, developing, growing. So now we've built up muscle and strength in these very specific pathways, which then we must begin to soften and undo. Soften and undo. Soften and undo. But we get caught up in the doing part, and we oftentimes forget about the softening. So it becomes a challenge because we feel like we always have to remember. I have to remember, oh, I have that thought, I got to let it go. Oh, I have that thought again, I'm starting to get frustrated. Oh, I cannot believe I had that thought again. I think I'm just going to open my eyes. So instead of attempting to micromanage this incredible genius that we call mind and forcing it into a quality of space which is more conducive for meditation, we want to simply rely on this fact that you've already made the decision of that which you wish to achieve and the direction that you wish to go. And it's a very deep one. It's on a very deep level that you've already decided. That's why you're sitting here. So now we must allow it to happen with support. Allow it to happen with support. But how do we know what the support is? Well, you already know. You already know. It's already inside of you. You know exactly what it is that you need to do in order to support your experience of meditation, which is then going to support the experience of your life. And some of you are saying, no, I don't. And others of you are saying, yes, I do. And you're both right. And I'm also right. But now the practice to move forward is to take the information and then apply it. But recognizing that when you apply it, it's not actually going to feel so good. Your mind might get even more busy as you relax and soften into your comfort. You might acquire some symptoms, and symptoms are common and they're okay, like feeling tired, or the body kind of gets this weird achy feeling that maybe you've never even described to someone, but if there's something that you know you should do but you don't want to do and you're procrastinating on, that feeling. Am I alone on this, or you know what I mean by the feeling? So that right there is exactly where we want to just tilt the concentration into and pierce it right through into the middle point and rest there and allow this awareness piece, which is natural. It looks exactly like this. It's exactly that. So you looking at me, that's the awareness to do its work. And the best way that the awareness can do its work is when it is not the object. It is not the subject at all. It's actually moving through it, knowing exactly what it needs to do. And because we are not attached to this thought, this idea, this person in our life, or this circumstance or situation, we are not holding it in place. So therefore, the awareness, which is hooked up to this natural intelligence, which is all around us, to this cosmic intelligence even, the same intelligence that makes all these planets do whatever they do, can just simply do its work. So we're stepping out of the way and allowing this free flow of energy to enter into the body. And that's really all we're doing with a meditation practice, is attempting to get out of the way and just become the perfect student and listen. Listen with the cells of the body, so every single one of them at the same time, stretching as best as we can the border of mind as something up here in our head into the body. So that then my mind is at the tips of my toes as much as it is somewhere inside my head. So that then we're increasing the surface that we are engaging the mind with. So the more we can pull the experience that we're having into the tangible, which is our physical body, the more realistic it becomes for the aspect inside of you that has to believe in what you're doing. The more that it's in the realm of the mind, of course, the more abstract it is. So then all of a sudden it's kaleidoscoping, or you have a scene in Paris and it just gets all weird all the time. So it's very hard to believe that you know where you're going when it comes to the meditative experience. And it's been outlined in so many ways across the eons, because there are as many ways as there are people in order to access the meditative experience. The technique itself is really designed to take you to the place of becoming comfortable and relaxed. So for the developed meditation, so one that you can already sit and these thoughts that I'm speaking about don't influence you at all, and you've already got the observation piece and you already have this free flow moving through your body and mind. Well, the awareness and observation retains and maintains its same position as being important. And the beauty within the experience that one has, within life that we classify as being spiritual, that we classify as being evolved, is often found in the most simple of moments, in the most mundane of experiences. And in the most general sense, this is how we mark an individual as being connected or developed, when they're able to capture within one's observation the experience that has already been enlightened. That's a big word. And when I say enlightened, I mean the lights have been turned on. So it's already this known experience that is occurring, and it's occurring again, and it's occurring again, and it's occurring again. So the recognition, the ability to recognize that which is happening already, is then the enlightened experience. So that which is occurring now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now, in its most consistent form. So the quality of the forever unchanging is really what we are tapping into when we say that someone's lights got turned on. So for this mature practitioner, that quality that we find within the simple moments that is already there has an evolution in and of itself. And it's in the simplification of the qualities that are experienced within the mind that enables you to hear that much more, to see deeper, and to have an overall sense of well-being. The boons or the gifts that come through meditation practice, these promises that maybe you read about or maybe you see on YouTube, someone talking about, are not necessarily the goal and not even the outcome of a meditation practice, but rather gifts and attainments within one's own developing practice. So that part we can simply let go of because they naturally occur. And for the developed practitioner, this is then where they start to catch, is they want the experience. They want the lights to turn on, to have an enlightened moment. They want to be able to become a little bit more clairvoyant or telepathic, or sit for longer and longer and longer, or have the mind become increasingly more quiet, more quiet, more quiet. So within this new section of an individual's meditation practice, the attachment or the wanting or the element of ignorance is still one and the same that we find within the newly developing practitioner of meditation. So that's why this practice of becoming comfortable with the reality of the way things are is very, very crucial within the beginning moments of a meditation practice, but also still pertains as being important at the very end of a practitioner's development also. So it's based on one and the same. But it's these catch points that we all have, these catch points that we want to identify and then do something with without having to do anything. Now, how the heck do you pull that one off? Well, we stated the pure awareness will do its work and just simply get out of the way and allow it to happen. But it's these catch points that are so boring, or seems like it's not relevant to the meditative experience, that we actually have to dig into. So after saying all of that, within an ideal environment, after this discussion that we're having, everybody will become that much more comfortable with where they are within their meditation practice. We close our eyes, and what we see is what we get. On all levels. So what you see is what you're getting. But if you look at the thought, then that's what it is. But if you look to the left of the thought and there's nothing there, also that's what it is. If you look to the right of the thought and there's nothing there, that's also what it is. If you look up, if you look down and there's all this beautiful space. If you take an in-breath and it feels so incredibly good, that's also what it is. If you relax a little bit more and you just think like, there's nothing wrong with my life, that's also what it is. You see what I mean? There's always so much going on, and you're choosing where you're placing your attention, and then what is binding as being true, and you're holding that. So if we're just able to soften a little bit and wiggle the fingers and move the hand away, let it do whatever it wants. Is it going to drop and plummet and then you're going to follow? Or is it going to rise up and then turn into a star and disappear? Who knows what the mind is going to manifest? But what's important is, what are you doing at that moment in time when it occurs? What are you deciding is your position or task within it? And you have really nothing to lose and everything to gain because your eyes are closed. You're not even having a conversation with anybody. You're just simply engaging with elements that make up who you are and employing techniques in order to evolve to that next place. I will show you techniques upon techniques upon techniques. And the secret ingredient to all the technique is you. Any questions?
Ariam Bhagavan.
How are you, good sir?
So I'm fascinated by the thought of mind and awareness being parallel within the being.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also fascinated by the thought that my mind is in my toe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was analyzing that and perhaps thinking, what I'm aware of is the fact that some of us think with vision,
Mm-hmm.
visualization, some of us think with sound
Mm-hmm.
within our mind. The thought has perhaps some sort of trigger to it. I haven't been able to make my baby toe have those things.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way that we could do that?
That your baby toe,
That becomes the mind? That you said the mind can be...
it is already the mind, your baby toe.
Right, but I can't visualize down there. For some reason there's a block. It always wants to stay in the parameters of where I've trained myself this lifetime
Mm-hmm.
and the patterns I've created.
Well, I know that if you want to be able to see something in your toe, that you will be able to do that over time. But whether or not that's important, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, where I was going with this is not important. I agree.
Well, it could be, but I'm just not sure if that's really important to you or not.
It's important to me to shift other patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's a subtle trick to do that with.
Mm-hmm. To feel the experience in your toe.
Then I'm already out of my pattern that I've created within myself, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the overall outcome of your talk for me was, your beautiful talk, was simply surrender.
That's a large element to it, but surrendering with intelligence. Mm-hmm.
Just simply surrender, just be.
Mm-hmm. But also be with the ability behind you.
This is the tricky part, isn't
Mm-hmm. Because this is the tricky part, because what is asked from any human being is engagement. And when we say something like surrender, it can go two ways. One is surrendering into a puddle, or surrendering into a inability, rather surrendering into an active component which is enabling you to move to that next place.
Agreed. I probably didn't express myself clear enough.
No, I mean, it's just the natural state of the mental experience.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really where a lot of the holding happens within a meditative practice, is exactly this. So what is that very, very, very thin line between being passive in this giving up way and being passive or surrendering in a completely active and engaged way?
Would it be you release, thinking, mind releases, so what is left is the essence of awareness? Would that be the case?
Yes.
So there is no work to be done. You simply become what you are.
Yes. But within this no work, there is an immense amount of effort.
Effort, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is a lot of...
Because that's where all of these wisdom traditions become so eloquent in their metaphoric language, because it's something almost impossible to explain, and you're doing and not doing. You're engaging and not engaging. You're saying something and not saying something. How does one do that? How does one do that? And it's not even an intellectual conversation. It's actually a very personal experience that one finds inside. How do I do that? So putting an individual in a classical way, in an old method, all around the world, to put someone, take that individual and put them into a pressured situation and allow them just to be in that pressured situation for a while until all the screws shake loose, so to speak, and start dropping on the ground, and there's nothing left to do. There's actually nothing left to do but that which you know what to do.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
I do understand, but first I have to know who I am to understand that.
But that's the whole process. That's actually just the discovery that we're engaged in right now, is discovering who we are through an active participation, through complete surrender. But this surrender also has a very subtle boundary to it. This surrender, as we see it, is like a giving up, but actually the surrender is a giving in.
That's the beauty of surrender.
Yeah, you're giving in to the natural flow of your experience.
You speak of the subtle of the subtle of the subtle, that quiet voice within oneself. So the surrender to me is surrendering to allowing that to be its expression, as opposed to mind and story and pattern controlling the outcome. For myself, it would be letting go and just observing and watching. Am I on the same? Am I on approaching levels of understanding, or am I still
always
way off base?
No, you're always on levels of understanding.
Okay. Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Nice
Thank
to talk
you.
to you again.
Very nice to talk to you.
In a while, so
It has been a while.
nice.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes. You can go first, and then. Nice pants.
Thank you, I made them.
Very nice.
Okay, so you said awareness works best when it's not, you use both the words subject and object of our focus. So that's not what we engage with.
Object. Best when it's not the object itself.
And we're not needing to engage with a thought or sensation. We're letting that go. So if the sensation and the awareness are not what we're engaging with, what is left to engage with?
The awareness itself is actually what we're engaging with. And the object which has been already defined is already that. So it's already a known factor. So we don't need that awareness piece to become it. Right? So this awareness piece becoming the thought. We don't need that. We want the awareness to flow freely so that then it is influencing that which has already been defined positively based upon where the individual is at that moment in time. And that's why meditation is so fruitful. Because when you're sitting, you feel better. You feel more relaxed, you feel calm, you feel lighter, there's less stresses within your life. So now that is now what is the awareness that is going towards the already defined experience. That which is happening right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now is the most important. So as we are developing a meditation, the now is what is shifting. So we're heightening our ability to find higher levels of vibration quite truly, and deeper states of this consciousness which is anchoring and grounding us, so that then we are not swayed or influenced by this wonderful thought.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Did you want to make a comment? And then I'll get to you, Mr. Reddy. Just 1 second, good sir. Ladies first, of course, always.
Okay, so you spoke about our thoughts and that we do have control over what we are thinking. Okay, so with that being said, what about these deep ingrained belief systems? And I understand that belief systems are a compiling of these uncontrolled thoughts that are creating these patterns. But I've had moments where I feel like I'm not in control of what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a program that's running that I can't get control over until I release it.
Mm-hmm. And you feel that that's true?
Well, I guess what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe you that the feeling is that we have no control, or you have no control over that thought or that thinking pattern. And it is true, because that is the level of intimacy, right? When you're in a relationship, when you're engaged in a relationship between two people, the level of intimacy becomes so close that it's actually almost so deeply influenced that a trait is passed to the other and is then expressed within the other in such a way that it is feeling like it is who they are. But then if we remove that individual from the relationship, then all of a sudden that disappears, it fades away. And now that person who is taking on the trait no longer has that trait. Now, how is that possible? The same thing goes with the experience of the thought. So as long as we're engaging with the thought so intimately as being who we are, then we take on the traits of that experience. So then the practice is, when it occurs, sit and be with it. Close your eyes and just be with that intensity, almost the neurosis within it.
Yeah, I can, the neurosis of it, yes.
And do that good work of realizing I am not that thought. I am not that state.
And just breathe through that.
And just breathe through it, because that's the core belief, is so intimate that we believe that we are that. But when we start to gain perspective, or if we're in a different stage of our week, we say, oh no, I'm not that at all. So the fact that there's this ebb and flow within our buy-in to any one thing means that we are not any of that. Because how can we be it and not be it, be it and not be it, be it and not be it?
Well, there are moments where I am that quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm breathing and I'm breathing and I'm meditating. And yeah, it does finally let go, but sometimes it doesn't really, it's almost like I'm in that thought, neurosis you call it, and sometimes it takes a while to get some relief.
Yes, and that it shrinks. The time spent working on it shrinks, becomes quicker and quicker and quicker to resolve and realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not that. And it's supported by your meditation practice, because every time you sit, it takes shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter amounts of time to get to that depth of meditation where you confidently say, yes, I found it. So it's running in the same positive patterning and reinforcement. So I reinforce myself through comfort, through rhythm of heart, through all of these steps of the meditation, which is then the fuel I need to then go to the experience of the mind and be okay with just looking at it and allowing it to dissolve, to being okay with moving through my day and not becoming reactive to all those small pieces. And it's really important to see the overarching of a week and notice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and what has moved its way into your life and how you either react or respond to those. Because the experiencer, who is you, are on a subconscious, continuously drawing individuals or circumstances into your field to support that, which you are wanting to manifest as the reality. But it's the subconscious that is doing most of that action. And because it's the subconscious which is doing most of the action, it is incredibly intimate. And because of the level of intimacy, we so easily say, no, this is who I am, this is me, because it came from that place that I don't even know what it is or how it works, but it just happened.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. So it's the conscious part of who you are. the conscious one that doesn't follow the thought that we keep wanting to strengthen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hello, good sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well.
Very good.
Surrender has been a theme that's come up a lot lately in my meditation practice. And your talk tonight has been helpful, along with the conversations of the three other questioners. But the thought that came up for me as you talked about giving in and surrendering. It's more like a transformation from one way of being to another. Does that make sense?
Most definitely.
What's coming up for me, and it seems really scary, is that the more I sit with the idea of surrender, is the more afraid I get and the more busy my mind gets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like I can't handle it. And
Mm-hmm.
I just run away from it almost. It's hard for me to stay with that.
Yes. And so we actually want to look at transformation within the same arena as these attainments and these gifts. So there's no trying that's needed in order to transform. It's actually embedded within timing and consistency. So where we want to really focus our energy and attention is surrendering, letting go, and maintaining an ability to see the space that exists around. Because remember, we're just sitting with our eyes closed. So there's nothing really to do other than that. Getting to a place where there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening. And if something is happening within your meditation, then this is a distraction. It is the mind producing something for us to see. The pinnacle point of the meditative experience, nothing is happening. And within that nothing, everything manifests from. So when we talk about transformation, it's enabling us to get to that place on varying degrees. Doesn't have to be 8 days of sitting straight or something like that, but allowing yourself to go to that place so that then it can catch and just simply do what it does naturally. It just will transform. And then when the individual is ready, when we've truly done the steps that you need to do inside, then all of a sudden the gift arrives, the boon exists, and everything flips, shifts, and moves. So this is why we look at the smallest aspects of the day, the simplest things, as being the most beautiful. Like the inhale, my gosh, tears rolling down the face because of a simple inhale. It's an amazing thing. Mm-hmm.
So continue the practice.
Continue the practice, but recognize the attitudes and language that you have to yourself while you're doing it, after you're doing it, and if it's consistent. So if it's not consistent, then we can't really be expecting much out of our practice. And if we keep saying yes to the patterning, if we keep reinforcing it, then we cannot expect this transformation to occur. But if we say, no thank you, no longer, disengage with it, the practice of pratyahara, then you'll just naturally start to see the movement. But we keep buying into the same circuit. I don't want to insult anybody, it's just the truth. We keep buying into the same circuit. And it's, in first glance, it's actually really hard to stop that flow and surrender at the same time. To go right to the center of the experience and sit with it and find comfort there and allow it to dissolve. But these are the gifts that you have naturally. Like when you fall asleep, you do that. When you finish your day and you just become quiet, you do that. So now this is taking it to that next level. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Andy? Hello, sir.
It's just a comment on a question earlier, because I was in a class with you a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure if I was taking or I was assisting, but you had defined, we're working on the center strength sequence, and you defined strength as the perfect marriage between fully engaging and fully relaxing, right? So that eventually, when you come to your seat, that's what you feel as your seat. Fully relaxed, but fully stacked and engaged in the spine.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of want to do the same thing with our life's path,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where we kind of want to find the spine of our life's path. And the practice that we do is actually answering that question, who am I, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
To get to that place of just a full understanding of what that is, like why you are here, what your purpose is. And I think that's the ultimate expression of that strength, of fully engaging in life, but at the same time fully letting go of it at the same time. An example of that would be someone like Mother Teresa, like super strong, super engaged, but let go of everything to do what she did.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question would be, other than meditation, other than practicing formally in the classroom and self-study, what are things that people can do in their day-to-day? Because sometimes it gets pretty busy,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes meditation just seems like keeping yourself afloat.
Mm-hmm. Well, my first answer is more meditation. Because the more meditation one does, the easier actually life is. And it just is naturally like that. And you don't need to take my word or anybody's word for it. Just apply the technique to your life and see what happens. And if it's consistent, then everything changes. Life actually, at its core, at its center, begins to manifest in the way that you know it should be, free and easy. My second part of the answer is slowing down. And I don't mean altering anything within your day. I don't mean that. Like, I have to do less. I'm not even going to impose that you have to do less. I'm not even going to assume that you're even busy, even if you're insanely busy, but I'm not going to assume that you're busy. But now within the experience that you're having, slow it down by 3 notches. And what you're slowing down is your observation of that which is occurring. So your observation of that which is occurring from the inside out. So you're looking at your thought, your decision, the ideas, and you're slowing down so that then when a thought comes up, you're not just taking that thought and then formulating a direction with it. You're just simply watching it and then responding in a way that is in accordance to what you feel. So what you feel, I mean your sensation of your body, which is supported by your breath. And if an individual actually does have a regular meditation, then that will be the sure bet go-to every single time. You just go into your body, this is how your body feels, you take a deep breath, everything slows down by just fractions of a second, and then you're able to engage with your world without telling anybody to be quiet or slow down. Because you're the decision maker, you're the one having the experience. Outside here, we can't do anything about. But inside, for me, this Christmas is not a busy thing. I'm not busy. It's not hectic. It's not stressful. But I'm sure for many, it is very busy, it is very hectic, it is very stressful. But the reason why that happens is because of the choice that is made and then reinforced again and again and again and again and again. So it comes back down to choice being made and then reinforced. But the level of intimacy we have to start to recognize. So meditation is so brilliant because it's taking unconscious, subconscious activity and conscious activity and starting to push it a little bit. So that which is unconscious is now becoming a little bit more conscious, a little bit more conscious, a little bit more conscious. Every time we sit in meditation. Every time that quickens, every time we're able to clear out our mind to the point of being absolutely quiet. So that's, if there were to be a goal within meditation, that would be it. Clear your mind until it becomes quiet. How do we clear our minds? By allowing it to clear. Because in order for it to clear, that means potentially thoughts must go in and then thoughts must go out. But if we are afraid of that, then we will always hold and hover and not ever drop in. And then not ever get that reinforcing sensation that then we can apply to every other aspect of our life. Does that make sense?
Broadens the horizon.
Completely broadens the horizon. This is really the last thing that I want to say before we sit, is that there is no problem with you. You're good. You are good. I mean, maybe your circumstance or situation is pretty crazy and wild and not comfortable, and so many aspects of it are challenging, and maybe you even wish that it wasn't happening, but you are actually all good. And I can tell you that because you're sitting in this room and you live in Edmonton, Alberta, and you have so many great privileges within your life. So we take that small piece, that little aspect, and see the genius within it and allow it to grow. So your meditation practice is so perfect. But now the only piece of instruction that I have for tonight, whether you are the first time sitting in this room or have been meditating for 35 years, is let's just get comfortable right here and now with whatever it is that comes up and see the spatial awareness around it. And if we can consistently do that, then our practice will start to develop and grow in all directions, internally and externally. Thank you. Shall we close our eyes? Please feel free to be comfortable. So if you feel as though the body is tired of sitting and you want to lie flat, you're completely welcome to. With your meditation, using this avenue of comfort, we want to become as subtle as we possibly can with it. And what that means is that when you feel the sensation of comfort, is it possible for you to relax, let go, and surrender to that relaxation to see if there's another level of comfort that exists? And you may experience that level, or you may just be holding where you're at. But the consistency of dropping in and then again dropping in to see if there's a deeper level, the consistency of that is then what will begin to manifest the ability. And just simply this first step within the technique of meditation can, and over time will, take you to the greatest heights of the meditative experiences. Just this one. Understanding that through your relaxation you are fully engaged and present. That this is not sleeping, but rather complete engagement within the quality of space that is manifesting your reality, that which you look at. But this looking is coming through the sensations of the body as much as it comes through your gaze. Experience how your breathing responds to this comfort. How this breathing also supports your comfort. Allowing that which you have already been given, meaning your body, your breath, your mind, to be in full support of your efforts towards meditation. Seeing what the mind is producing and then engage with the technique. Return back to comfort. Experience the mind, the breath, and the body within comfort. Keeping the eyes closed, let's bring full deep breaths into the body. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your gaze into the space just there in front of you. And now let's practice engaging this inner mind muscle, meaning that we want to gaze in such a way that we enable this quality of space to be retained, meaning that this quality of space is not interrupted by any thought. Starting now. Keeping the eyes closed, soften the gaze. And very gently, without rushing, allow the eyes to open. That was very good. Did you notice? Did you notice the moment that your attention, which is connected to that awareness, followed the thought and it pulled you away, and maybe even you lost the body altogether? It's like, where's the body? And then you're like, oh yeah, comfort, finding the body again. Or the dialogue, the language around what you're doing, your attitude towards yourself or the technique that you're using. What was that attitude during your meditation? Was it positive and in favor, or was it negative and not in favor? What was the attributes of your physical body's sensation? Was it challenging to sit, or was it easy to sit? So all of these pieces can be categorized, or it can be developed through with one simple task, and that is find comfort, connect to comfort, be comfort. Because what happens is all of this that's pulling you up and away is then disengaged, and you just simply find the resting place of comfort. Where is the resting place of comfort? Naturally, innately, in the body. This is what the body teaches. Left to its own device, you're just going to lie down. Without your own will to move, you're just going to lie down. And that's what we want. We want the body to teach us what it's naturally good at, and that's being comfortable. Right? It'll move around and wiggle around all it needs to in order to retain that comfort. So then what is beginning to occur is we're using the body as the anchor, the grounding force for our meditative experience, and also the grounding force for our mind. So the mind can search and search and search and never find a resting place. But if we turn the lights on and find the reality of the fact that comfort is found within the body first, then now the mind can just simply go there. And because we're training the mind to recognize it again and again and again and again, it quickens. And because it's quickening within your meditation practice, it's also quickening that ability in every other aspect of your life. So if you contemplate, if this resonates with you, contemplate through your day comfort and what that means. So if you're comfortable with every person that you talk to, if you were comfortable with everything that you saw, everything that you felt, everything that you heard, everything that you are, what would happen to you? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy, and I'll see you next week. Namaste. I should mention that the poster is up actually for a technique course, which I don't teach very many of them. So if you want to learn a meditation technique, the next course is at the end of February. And it's over 2 weekends, so a 2-day and a 2-day, with a 2-week span in between. Lots of good things come from that course. We have 3 different experts that come and talk about different aspects: the anatomy of meditation, the neurology of meditation, the psychology of meditation, and then that X factor, the quantum physics component of the meditative experience, along with all the technique. So it's very informative. And then probably I will make more sense sitting up here and talking too. Enjoy.
If you ever have any questions for Rameen, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be able to curate a broadcast that is more in alignment with your genuine inquiries about anything and everything and meditation. You can email me, Haji, and I will ask your questions on your behalf anonymously. You can reach me at info@SATTVAONLINE.com. That's info@sattvaonline.com. And I'll make sure to let you know as soon as your questions were answered on air. Thank you.